Hello everyone, welcome back to this Python for Absolute Beginners course. Today we'll be talking about variables. To really explain the variables concepts, let's take our minds back to algebra in mathematics. Now in maths, there is a concept like this where you have, let's say 2x plus 4 equals this. So what's the answer? And then somewhere down it says, oh, take x to be, let's say 3, right? So x equals to 3. And basically what this means is that anywhere we see x, we should replace it with 3 because there is now a value for 3. So x here now becomes a variable. Initially we didn't know the value, but now we know the value to be 3. And so to solve this, we have to do something like 2 in bracket 3. Plus 4 equals to these, and 2 in bracket this means 2 times 3, right? So this means 2 times 3 plus 4, which means 6 plus 4, and the answer is 10. Well, we are not here for maths, but unfortunately programming in general, they are very closely related to math, and I think they borrow most of the concepts from mathematics, and sometimes we really can do without it. But anyways, the point I'm making here is the fact that we have a value for x. So initially the problem was 2x plus 4 equals what, and now we have a value for x being 3. So anywhere we see x, we replace it with 3, and that's why we had these, and we finally got the answer. Now have that at the back of your minds because it's exactly the same thing in Python. Now let's say we want to solve this problem in Python, right? This is basic maths, but now let's do it in Python. So let's say declaring a variable in Python is really easy. It's as easy as just naming the thing. So this is the name of the variable, and so we're just saying x equals 3. That's all. So we've declared a variable here. The name of the variable is x. We've the equal to sign is called an assignment operator. So we've used the assignment operator to assign 3 to it. And so this means everywhere we see x, it will then take the value of 3. So now that we've declared, we can do something. Remember the print statement? So if we say print x now and we run it, the answer is 3 because a value has been assigned to these, and this is now a variable. And anywhere we see these, it will put in that value that has been assigned and output it. What happens if you try to print something? Let's say we want to print y. Now, obviously, there is no value for y. Y wasn't declared. It's not a variable. The Python doesn't understand it in any way, and it's just saying y, and it's wondering where is y coming from. So what happens if we try to run these? Right, it says name y is not defined, right? So you want to be very careful not to try to call something that you haven't defined in any way. So the reason this one worked was because we previously defined that variable. So we defined it and we said, oh, anyway, you see x, you should give it a value of 3. And so that's why we were able to run it here. But now we're trying to print y, and y doesn't exist. And so that's why we are getting this error. But let's get back to business. Now let's get back to the problem we were trying to solve initially. So x equals to 3. Now there's a value for x, and the question then said, to x. The question was to x like this plus 4, and we tried to expand it here and all of that. So let's just do the same thing as well here. So 2x plus 4. Now in place of, because x is a variable now, and you remember we have just the same thing the way we did the multiplication and all of that. And so we can just wrap these like these. So 2 multiplied by x. Again, it puts the 3 in here. So 2 multiplied by x plus 4. And we can just run this and we get the answer 10, you see, which is exactly the same as what we had up there. Now that's really easy, isn't it? So always and always remember, anytime you want to declare a variable in Python, you just write the name of the variable. Let's say I do something like name equals in quotes Edima, right? Before we continue, do you remember from the last class what the data types mean? Where we looked at integer, strings, boolean, and floats. Well, if you remember, then this is an integer, and now I'm declaring another one called a string. So this is a string integer. This is a string, sorry. This is a string data type, and I'm assigning it to the variable name. And so this means that everywhere I do something like print name, so if I say print my name, it will print Edima because a value has been assigned to it. So declaring a variable, assigning a value to it, and being able to print it out is a very, very easy concept in Python, and you will find that you'll get to use these almost all the time in everything you're doing. So try to understand this. You can assign you can assign variables to anything, and you can do as many things as possible with it. And it doesn't mean you only get to assign only one variable. So I can do something like, let's say x equal to 3, using the 3 that we've been using before. And we can say y equals, let's say 7. And then if we now want to print this, so we can say print x plus y. So if we do print x plus y and we run this, can you guess the answer? Now remember, it's not seeing x as x really, it's now seeing x as 3 because a value has been assigned to it. So x becomes 3, y becomes 7. So when we do print this plus this, it's basically putting these in this place, and when we run it, we get 10. Now I'll show something, just one more thing before we end this class. Let's say we have x equals to 3. We've always been using x as 3, so let's just continue to use that. And then somewhere down, we try to do something else. Let's say we say x equals to, let's say we wanted to do this, we wanted to do this calculation, and we mistakenly still use, instead of using y here, we mistakenly use x again. So we mistakenly still said x equals 7. Now if we print x, what do you think the answer would be? Is it going to be 3 or it's going to be 7? Can you guess? Well, I think it will be 7, and we will run it to see, because Python programming, Python generally, and other languages too, they run from top to bottom. So it's tried to run the first line, it assigned 3 to this variable x, and then it ran the second one and it said, oh, there's the same variable has been reassigned another value. So now it's no longer seeing x as 3, rather it's seeing it as 7. And so if we run this now, we get 7 because it's no longer seeing x as 3. Well, I know I said that that was the very last, that was the last example, but something else I just want to add before we end this. Now let's say, we are doing this same thing. Let's just copy this. So we have x, and the value sets to 3. We have y sets to 7. Now we can also put the result of a calculation in another variable, and then gets to print out that variable. So let's say now we have x equals to 3, we have y equals to 7. We can do z equals x plus y. So if we do this, and then we now get to print these, can you guess the answer? Well, we should still get the same thing. So if we run this, we get 10. Well, that's it. It's variable is a very easy and very basic thing, but it's something that you will get to use all your time as a programmer using Python and any other language. So it makes sense to try and get familiar with this and ask a question in the comments if you have anyone. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.